Clint, today's show, at least off the top, this big ticket item is all about the Roki review. Sasaki's first outing. Let's get there.
Let's do it.
I have to say, I don't think he disappointed. I was very much looking forward to how he handled things outside of the bubble, if you will. Pretty good final line, 3 innings, again, back-to-back, backing up Yamamoto. 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned runs. You got to love that. And you also got to love the fact that he had 5 punch-outs. I mean, that's a pretty good final line for a guy that is pitching in the big league level for the first time in a spring training game. Again, I don't put any emphasis so much on results, but it was good to see him get out there outside of that, controlled environment, if you will.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. I think we saw some nerves early on in the outing, but he found it. The fastball sitting around 98, 99. The splitter looking as disgusting. Forkball really is what it should be called, but we'll call it the splitter. Quieted anybody who had concerns about Sasaki and where he's at and how the Dodgers were kind of, we could say, hiding him in the background. Of course, like you had mentioned, the B game on the backfield against the intra-squad plus the White Sox. Well, here you had a team that was trying to beat his ass down, and they could not. And some dudes, obviously a couple guys gave the baseball a ride, a couple foul balls, very, very loud strikes, but otherwise, when he decided to turn it on and dominate, he did that. So seeing Roki with stuff versus big league hitters, it was impressive, and it makes me feel a whole lot better about a starting rotation I already felt pretty dang good about.
It's funny because you talk about the starting rotation. We'll throw up that graphic here in just a second. But what I like about the fact is that many are saying, Clint, that Roki Sasaki is the best in terms of stuff of all 3 of the Japanese-born pitchers that the Dodgers have, which is pretty hard to say. So do you think that in his spring training debuts, or the stuff that you saw last year with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, do you think that Yama looked as good as Roki did in his first, if we're going to go ahead and compare? Because that's what we do on these shows, right? Yeah. Let's just compare everybody.
I mean, that's what we have. We only have history to work off of, and Yamamoto definitely was... I think he had a little bit more struggles. I think there was also just a lot. When you're talking about... the price difference between the two pitchers, $325 million or whatever it was for Yamamoto, and all the expectations. He was also working on some things. The Dodgers were kind of working on changing his delivery a little bit. He's also getting used to the baseball, was Yamamoto last year, so the numbers weren't very good. And then we also saw that in his debut outing, game 2 against the Padres. 5 earned runs, 1 inning, and then he's out. Of course, everything got better after that point. So I think the Dodgers kind of learned a little bit about how to get some of these guys over here acclimated, adjusted to the baseball, the mound, the environment. The Dodgers players have been doing a great job getting these guys acclimated as well. We've talked before about Mookie Betts working with somebody like Hae-Sung Kim, kind of getting the crowd involved out there at Camelback Ranch. Come on, let's go Dodgers, all that kind of stuff. The Dodgers have learned a lot on how to manage game situations, or manage situations in here in spring training, but also even last year heading into the postseason and all that stuff we've talked about. Hey, leave the wives, leave the girlfriends at home. Let's focus on being here. Let's be boys for the next 3 weeks and try to go win this thing. And now here they are a year later, using all the information they have to try to get Sasaki in the best spot to potentially start game 2 against the Cubs there for the Dodgers in Tokyo.
All right. Well, Jason Giannaros wants to call it the splurk ball, the splitter, and the fork ball. So that's fine, Jason. You better go ahead and trademark that bad boy, splurk ball. Let's see what Roki Sasaki himself, Clint, had to say after his first spring training outing as a Dodger.
もちろん甘いボール自体はやっぱり打たれますし、スプリットもいいとこ見逃したりとか、そういうところもあったんですけど、自分のいいボール投げたら押し込めたり、空振り取れたりっていうそういう収穫もあったので、その両方今日感じれてよかったなと思います。
A couple of things I noticed with big league hitters, they do hit mistakes and they do take some splits that I threw, but I did feel really good about being able to jam some hitters, and as long as I throw quality pitches, I should be able to get these guys out.
That's what we
All
saw.
right, thank you, Roki Sasaki, and thank you, Will Ireton. Will the Thrill. You know, it's one thing for Roki to say what he said. Of course, you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, or actually through Will Ireton, but that's another time. How about what Dave Roberts, Clint, had to say about Roki Sasaki's outing? He was saying basically the best that they've seen from him. I mean, you talk about the fact that we have seen him in bullpen sessions. We've seen him in live BP. We've also known that they're kind of coddling him, if you will, for lack of a better phrase. But this is the first time that we've seen him in compete mode, according to Dave Roberts, and it's the best that we've seen him. You've got to feel good about what Skip had to say.
Yeah, when Dave feels good, I'm going to feel good about somebody out there. Also, sometimes we know Dave has to kind of guide these people into confidence, but I feel really, really good about Sasaki and where he's at. The stuff looks nasty. The stuff looks as advertised. We saw this graphic going around online, the release point for all of the pitches at the slider, splitter, and four-seamer going, did Roki against the Reds the other night. And the release point, that hand is staying right there. It's staying about in the same spot. That's telling you the deception is there. Batters are going to have a very difficult time reading this baseball coming out of the hand. And again, we saw it. It's some of the pitches, some of the at bats. One of the guys looking absolutely foolish, just throwing a sword out there with his bat, trying to hopefully make some sort of contact and stay alive. But the baseball's 4 or 5 inches under the bat. The stuff was disgusting. Roki is disgusting, and to like you said, to think that he could be somebody who ends up being the best of the 3 Japanese stars on this team, it's got to be daunting for everybody else in the league to think about.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary proposition. And think about the fact, of course, that the opposition doesn't have much of a book on Roki Sasaki. I mean, of course, you can watch all the video that you want. You can go back to the World Baseball Classic. You can see what he's done in terms of videos and those types of things. But until you're standing in the box and you're facing this guy that has that splitter that Clint talked about, that has that fastball, obviously, and they're going to continue to work with him and mold him into the pitcher he really wants to be at the big league level. Remember, he could have waited to have been posted and made a lot more money, but he wanted to get out of Japan and pitch in the big leagues. And he's a work in progress. He is a mold that the Dodgers will continue to mold into what they think he can be in terms of talent-wise. But how scary it could be with the 3-headed monster of the Japanese-born pitchers, not to mention all of the other starters in the Dodgers rotation. Clint, you and I talked about it.
Glasnow missed, the last 2 months of the season, 3 if you count the postseason.
Yeah, he was super happy about them shutting him down, too. Super psyched about that.
That was a little bit awkward. Blake Snell missed some time last year. Yamamoto missed some time last year. Roki Sasaki hasn't pitched over, I think, 125, 129 innings in a year in his life. Tony Gonsolin missed all of last year. Dustin May has missed the better part of the last 5 seasons or 4